If you hear some weird sounds, it's my cat. She loves using me as her pillow nowadays. She's an elderly cat. She is 12 or 13. So she's going to be in and out. She does as she pleases. She doesn't want to listen to me. I'm a nobody to her. I'm just her body pillow. But today's video is going to be an addition to the videos that I made concerning Marina Budik's work on virtualization. So I made two videos. About this work. So the first one is titled Selling Bodies, Buying Identities, and the second one is Do You Live in a Virtual Reality? So I wanted to add to these two videos because as comrades and I are reading a little bit more into the work, I'm gaining a little bit more of a perspective, and I do want to make some amends to these videos, especially to the second one, Do You Live in a Virtual Reality? Because I want to clarify that in this video, I did refer to mostly the technological aspects of virtualization or how the internet leads to virtualization. However, Marina Budik argues in her work that it's not just the technology, it's not just the internet, it is all of the aspects of imperialism that we are already very familiar with that are being virtualized. And she did specify that virtualization is a process that takes place in a capitalist production. Virtualization is a part of the non-capitalist capitalist production. She does use these paradoxical terms that she invented herself. So she keeps saying non-capitalist capitalist tendencies or capitalist non-capitalist tendencies. It's a little bit confusing. But as I speak, you're probably going to be able to understand what she meant. In reading her work, mostly everything is understood, so I'm not going to spend too much time on this. But she uses Marx's description of the process of consumption that is dictated by the process of production, capitalist production, obviously. So, and she talks about how this last part, the desire to consume, that it slowly separates from the entire process and becomes an industry of its own. And she calls this a non-capitalist capitalist production because she says that it's not directly selling you anything, but it creates a lifestyle and a certain ideological set, so a set of beliefs, a set of behaviors, a set of habits, even a set of affect. And all of this is done not directly to sell you anything, but later on it leads to the selling of things, the selling of objects. And this is greatly exemplified by what is done on the internet. When the internet first emerged, it was largely offering a lot of public services, just like a library. It would provide a lot of reading materials, a lot of videos, a lot of advice, and it was seemingly free, and it was available to a wider audience, and it helped speed up international exchange and international relationships. So people took advantage of all of this publicly available information, but as the process continued, the process of virtualization continued, the desires that were born in the process of consuming all kinds of data, they created brands and niches and all kinds of production that is now selling us back our identities, selling us back all kinds of accessories, all kinds of gadgets, all kinds of lifestyle, whatever objects that now appear to be necessary so that we keep up with the Joneses, so that we keep up with that persona, with this identity that have been crafted in the process of us talking to each other online. And she, again, doesn't put emphasis on online activity, but I do, just because I think it's an easy way to understanding virtualization. So when we interact with people online, when we consume their art, for example, we consume their music, we consume their writing, we may develop new needs that we didn't even know could have existed. And it's all possible because of this seemingly non-capitalist, capitalist type of a production that did not occur to begin with to support capitalism. However, Marina Budik argues that this type of production ultimately indirectly supports capitalism, and she proposes that without this type of non-capitalist capitalist production, capitalism is going to crumble sooner. Now, Budik did emphasize that non-capitalist capitalist tendencies existed a long time ago. She gave examples of slavery in the United States that used to be quite different before the United States fully industrialized and fully started participating in the capitalist mode of production. So she talked about how the older slavery used to be more self-sustained, and that capitalism, when integrating slavery into the global market, it made it significantly worse, and slavery ultimately became a tool of capitalism. The other examples of non-capitalist capitalist production could be traced even earlier. Even in ancient Rome, there existed different forms of capital. For example, trade capital, which you would accumulate by just simply trading goods, and you would accumulate capital, and also loaning capital, or the type of capital where you give somebody money and then you receive more, something that banks do nowadays. But in ancient Greece, it was an isolated form of capital. However, that does not mean that ancient Greece was capitalist. It just shows that capitalist tendencies existed a long time ago, but they did not end up becoming a capitalist mode of production. The capitalist mode of production was only able to fully appear and fully become itself and form itself much later, when a lot of laborers were available, started being available to sell their time and the ability to labor on the global market, and then capitalism was able to replace the older forms of production. And this was a slow process. It didn't happen overnight. It took at least 400 years or so. But that is all to say that non-capitalist capitalist tendencies existed before, and they will continue existing. Budik also suggested that during Soviet Union there was a continuous struggle between capitalist tendencies and socialist tendencies, and she argues, rightfully so, that the USSR succumbed to the capitalist tendencies in the end, and this is what led to its dissolution. And Budik argues that virtualization also happens in such phenomena as war, financial capital, collectives or communities of people, and ultimately even human identity, forming a human identity. And all of these she's going to be explaining further in the book. Let me know if you would be interested in hearing more as I read a little bit more and make sense of it a little bit more. If you're interested, I will definitely be making more videos about this work. I recommend you watch my other 2 videos concerning this book. I will put them down below. I will put the link to her book down below as well, even though it's only available in Russian at the time being. Sometime soon, the comrades and I are going to be able to talk to Marina Budik herself online. We requested if she was willing to help us make sense of her book in some time, and she agreed. So we will be lucky to converse with the author herself. And if you have any questions so far, you can let me know. You can put them down below. And generally, let me know what you think. Let me know if this edition is helpful or not. Also, consider supporting me on Patreon. I will be posting videos more regularly on Patreon. This is going to greatly help me out. Do take care of yourself and your community first, and I hope you have a great day today.